let's get to Bellator 75. Brian Delprado taking on Joe Williams. This one, a welterweight preliminary bout. We're not going to go through all the prelims on this card because, we preview the fights on Wednesday, and then by Friday, Bellator has changed like half the fights. So we're only going to go with the fights that we are pretty sure will take place on Friday night, but you never know with Bellator. Brian Delprado, 5-1, taking on 6-1 Joe Williams. Delprado coming off a submission victory. Williams coming off a decision loss in his Bellator debut on August 24th. Williams has 6 wins, 3 of them via knockout, 2 submissions, 1 decision. Delprado, 2 knockouts, 2 submissions, and 1 decision for 5 wins. Williams has only been fighting since January 2011, while Delprado has been fighting since 2009. Delprado, 24 years old. Williams, a.k.a. Mongo, is 27 years old. It's a good nickname, though, Mongo. Delprado from Merrillville, Indiana. This fight taking place in Hammond, Indiana. And Williams will be the out-of-towner from Orange, California. Williams and Delprado can't complain with these guys' records, right? 5-1 versus 6-1, a welterweight contest. This could be good.
It could be fantastic. Williams obviously wanting to get that first Bellator win off his, onto his record, whereas Delprado wants to make an impressive debut. 2 knockouts, 2 submissions to his credit, and 1 decision, whereas Williams has 3 knockouts and 2 submissions and 1 decision. These guys have only gone to decision once out of all of their fights, which, in my opinion, is impressive. I just think that Prado, considering coming off a submission win, making his debut.
Actually, that's a submission loss, rather.
Okay.
They're both coming off losses. Delprado, I said he was coming off a win, but he actually came off a loss to Daniel Vizcaya on April 13th via submission.
Oh, so now you've swayed my whole decision-making.
And, and you think about it, right? Well, Williams lost his last fight, but that was a decision. Delprado lost his last fight, but that was a submission. I'm going to go with Williams because he wasn't finished in his last fight.
I think that there's a lot of pressure on the hometown boy of Indiana in Delprado. Perhaps he could pull out. I think this is kind of a virtual pick'em as they kind of have equal records. Nonetheless, the fact that Williams has had some Bellator experience, went to decision, his only loss in his MMA career is a decision, right, as opposed to being finished like Delprado.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, let's go with Joe Williams on this one.
All right, we both like Joe Williams. We move right along to a former WEC champion, which I think is pretty cool. Bellator stepping it up on the prelims. Chase Beebe, former WEC bantamweight champion. He'll take on David Bo Harris, a guy we saw fight here in 2011 for the Ringside promotion in Montreal when he lost to current UFC fighter Mitch Gagnon via submission. David Harris. So David Harris has a 7-3-1 record. Chase Beebe, 21 wins, 8 losses, and 1 draw. Beebe coming off a decision win over a 4-4 fighter named Mike Baskus on July 16th in Illinois, while Harris coming off a decision victory over a 9-1 fighter named Nick Kirk on May the 4th at Bellator 67. Beebe, 16 of 21 wins via submission with 4 decisions and 1 knockout. Harris, 3 of 7 wins via decision with 2 knockouts and 2 submission victories as well. When Harris loses, he gets finished. He's been knocked out once and submitted twice, but, it's a tough guy. Zach Makovsky, the former Bellator champion, and Mitch Gagnon, the current UFC bantamweight. David Harris, 31 years old, 1-0 in Bellator. He made his pro debut in 2009. Chase Beebe, 27 years old, made his pro debut in 2006. He's from Chicago, Illinois, and has gone 1-1 in Bellator. Beebe or Harris? An interesting fight here, but I got to go with the guy with the experience, the former champion in the WEC, Chase Beebe.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you on that one. A win over Eddie Wineland, a win over Ronnie Yaya, 16 submissions to his credit, just an absolute submission ace, a WEC veteran, WEC, a dream veteran. The guy has fought everywhere, a complete journeyman, and Bo Harris only has 12 fights to his credit, or 11 fights, rather. So, with that being said, I like Chase Beebe in this bout.
Trivia question for you, Big Two, and I'm putting you on the spot.
Okay.
Chase Beebe. Who beat him for the WEC title. Long-reigning WEC bantamweight champion.
Oh, bantamweight champion is Miguel Torres.
That's correct.
Oh.
That's correct. Big Tuna, you get no prize.
Oh, snap. I thought I was going to get first dibs on that CM Punk DVD. Dang.
Incorrect. Let's
go to Mark Holata?
Let's go to the tournament. This is the tournament to crown a new Bellator heavyweight champion after Cole Conrad, who was the Bellator heavyweight champion and was 9-0, retired.
Crazy.
So Conrad retires to take a job in finance and make big money, and now Bellator looking to find a new champion. It's a 8-man tournament, and the quarterfinals will begin on Friday night. Mark Holata, 12-3, taking on Vinicius Quieroz, 5-2. Holata coming off a submission victory, an Achilles lock, over 10-6 Abe Wagner on May 18th at Bellator 69 in his last fight, where Quieroz has not fought since October of 2010, where he lost via submission to Rob Broughton, actually fighting in the UFC at UFC 120. The reason he hasn't fought since then is because he tested positive for the steroid stanozolol.
Which is a cutting. It's kind of like when it comes to steroids, there's building cycles, and this is kind of the second cycle to kind of chisel your body.
Victor Conte in the house, Big Tuna, giving us the info. So Quieroz tested positive for steroids, hasn't fought since October 2010, and he'll make his return, and he could be the next Bellator champion. He was on a 4-fight win streak before he lost to Rob Broughton. He's 29 years old, from Brazil, representing the Chutabox camp. This will be his debut in the United States, as his fight for the UFC was in England. So this will be his Bellator debut and American debut. He's been fighting since 2003. He's got 5 wins, all via knockout, but only one of those comes against an opponent with a winning record. So who's this guy really beating? Whereas Mark Holata is beating some legit guys. He has wins over Sean Jordan and Carmelo Marrero. He's also won 9 of his last 10 fights. He's 30 years old, from Oklahoma, and is 3-1 in the Bellator promotion. I like Holata in this fight. You know, Quieroz coming off that steroid suspension, making his Bellator debut, hasn't beat a lot of winners. You got to go with Holata to win this fight.
I can't disagree with you. I think Holata, with a submission, Achilles lock, to even get an Achilles lock on anyone, I think is kind of an accomplishment. And, doing
especially in MMA, right?
Exactly.
MMA is very impressive.
Abe Wagner, not necessarily the most impressive, but nonetheless, Holata has been active this year. Yes, he was knocked out by Daryl Schoonover and Ron Sparks. Nonetheless, the guy's got submissions.
Titties.
And exactly, titties. He's got submissions.
That's Daryl Schoonover's nickname on The Ultimate Fighter. We're not just screaming out titties.
Yeah.
Although, why not?
A lot of titties, right?
Yeah, why not?
So, and then he beat titties Sean Jordan, and and
that's not his nickname. You're just being mean.
I'm just saying titties. But I think that the most unimpressive thing with Quieroz is that he's been fighting since 2003. And yes, has not fought since 2010, but within a 7-year period, only fought 7 times.
Yeah, it's
That
weird.
is the most unimpressive thing, in my opinion. Most guys that are 9-year MMA veterans have 25 to 30 bouts under their belt.
But it almost makes you think, this guy's been training for 2 years, and he's going to come in like a monster. He's going to come in a completely different fighter. He's only 29 years old.
Doesn't matter.
Fighting for 9 years, only 29. It's crazy.
He's got to work 3 times as hard because he was on steroids.
So we like Holata over Quieroz, but that Quieroz, man, it's going to be weird to see what he does.